Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and this time around it's another bonus ROM hack Play It Through, as I'm taking on Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, the Super Mario World hack that takes Super Mario World and changes its gameplay into making it a Captain Toad style of game. This ROM hack was done by Zach Mario, and if you're interested in checking it out, information is down in the description. Because this is a ROM hack that is around Captain Toad, you're controlling Toad, and your goal is to collect all the items in a level and then reach the star goal, just like you would in the original Captain Toad, which was released on Wii U, and actually happens to be one of my absolute favorite games on the Wii U. The Wii U, for the most part, has been a relative disappointment to me as a Nintendo fan, but Captain Toad is definitely one of those bright spots that I really enjoyed when it first came out. You'll notice at the top of the screen, you'll have various different symbols which represent the items that you're going to need to collect. As you collect them, they'll disappear or count down, and once you get them all, you'll then be able to get the star and move on to the next stage. There's a total of 6 worlds, each featuring 4 levels in them, and once you complete a world, you'll move on to the next one. Because it uses that same style of gameplay as Captain Toad, you're unable to jump, and Captain Toad has to use the various vegetables that he can pick out of the ground via Mario 2, and be able to launch them at the various enemies in order to progress. This leads to some interesting strategy, of course, that is going to need to be implemented in order to avoid getting hit, because if you don't have one of these projectiles that you can pick up, or you can actually land on the enemies and stomp on them, like classic Mario enemies, if you're not able to do that, you're going to be out of luck, and you may end up getting cornered and end up losing a life. You can grab some various 1-ups throughout the course of the game, and your life counter is located in the upper left corner. This is one of the more creative ROM hacks that I played. I've said before that I don't play a whole ton of ROM hacks. I'm not really a huge fan of the overly difficult style ones, but the ones that do things a little bit differently, especially something like this, definitely interested me. With the vegetables, not only can you actually fire them straight in front of you, of course, but you can also fire them straight up by holding up on the D-pad, being able to launch them up at various different enemies. The first 4 levels are really kind of a tutorial style, where you're basically going to be learning just how everything works in this particular ROM hack, taking out the various enemies with the vegetables, and being able to not really get too many times where you're going to really run into that much trouble, but the game definitely ramps up in difficulty as we make it farther in, as we enter into World 2. Each of the worlds is differently themed around settings from Mario Bros. 2, so they'll look familiar, but they're all different designs and such that go along with the various backgrounds and styles of levels, like inside of World 2, you're inside of the cave. This is where things start to pick up in difficulty, as things like pits and spikes become ever more apparent for us to worry about and deal with. Timing my throws of vegetables in order to hit certain enemies that may jump and try to avoid my projectile fire. Climbing up this ladder here, grabbing this, I can launch up that vegetable at the Minji, or just climb up the ladder and grab the other vegetable, or thankfully, at least with them, I can actually have a brief window where I can run underneath of them if need be. There are some enemies where you won't have that option. So this ROM hack gets a lot of bonus points, not only for, of course, using that Captain Toad style of gameplay, but Mario 2 is definitely one of my favorites. It's one of the Mario games that contains my favorite enemies overall, like the Sniffit being my number 1 favorite, and Porcupo, as well as Ninja. So getting to see them in any kind of ROM hack like this is always enjoyable. Sniffits in this particular ROM hack are, of course, extremely deadly because they, of course, fire straight out with their bullets and can easily end up causing you to not be able to get out of the way and end up taking one of the Sniffit bullets to the face. Before exiting the level, I had to jump all the way down here using the ladders. Be careful that I don't drop off the right side here into the spikes. And now finally I can collect the last couple of items I need in order to finally get to the star. Now, at the beginning of this level, there's a giant pit right near the beginning, and we have to use the music note blocks in order to bounce our way over to the right side safely, instead of accidentally falling down into that pit. Over to the left here, I have to take out this shy guy strategically, just enough so I can then get up the ladder before the other enemy ended up coming near me to try to take me out. Wait for the right opportunity to get past the sniffets here. They will bounce off of certain ladders to try to keep them corralled a little bit, but a lot of the times that's still not going to really give you that much of a window for you to be able to get around those bullets. Here I grab that last coin, and now I can safely drop on down. Be careful of the pit, of course, and hit the star to complete the level. I do enjoy that you can actually save after every one of the levels, so you don't have to really worry about, experimenting too much. You're not going to get set back too far if you end up losing all your lives. Introduced here, we have some conveyor belts that we have to deal with. Of course, we'll go faster or slower depending on which way the conveyor belts go. I will say the conveyor belts, when it's pushing against you, you end up going extremely slow on them, and there's a couple of these conveyor belts later on in the game which are really slow to get around because of the overall speed that you're able to walk on them. We can use this music box note to jump up here, and I'm going to take out the sniffet eater from below, or if I'm not able to hit it, I can still get one of the vegetables up on the top portion. After grabbing that coin, we have one last coin to grab, which unfortunately we have another one of these conveyor belts that we have to kind of go against. Here, I have to wait for the platform to open up, grab the cherry, and move on to the exit and completing the second world of this ROM hack. World number 3 is in the cloud area of a Mario 2 style of stage. And there's a good amount of course, the beanstalks or giant plants for us to climb around. Well, I do need to drop off there and get that other item down below. I'm going to go up first. That way, I secure the fact that I got everything else and have avoided death from the vicious attack of the sniffets here, before then hitting that relatively tough fall on the bottom portion of this stage. You can actually use a vegetable to take out multiple enemies at the same time. It's a little bit difficult to do some of the timing on it, but it's still a cool effect that you can use one vegetable to take out multiple stacks of various enemies. With everything else grabbed, I gotta drop on down. I'm able to actually bounce off of an enemy at the bottom. That was just sheer luck that I was able to hit him and thus be able to get back up, and now I can finish off the stage. I like the platforming elements of having to use the music notes in order to get through certain areas. But eventually I do make it to the top and able to move on to the second level here of world number 3. We're going to start off by taking out the first couple of enemies here before getting the first coin and heading up the stalk, taking out a sniffet who's waiting for us at the top here. Momentum in the game works pretty well, but you have to commit to it. You don't want to stop near the edge and then hold right or left depending upon whatever direction you're going. You want to run the entire way, hold the left or right on the D-pad, and then go all the way over before dropping off the side in order to make sure you have that enough momentum in order to actually grab or land wherever you're looking for. One of the tougher things is also managing the air that you're getting on some of the jumps using the music notes, because you may accidentally jump up too high and land into some of the bullets from Sniffets, or, introduced in this level, the wonderful Bezos that will try to take us out along the way. These are probably the hardest thing to avoid and deal with throughout the course of this particular ROM hack, not being able to jump, and they are relentless, like bullet bills. They just keep on coming and coming, and they can come from a lot of variety of different directions when the levels that they're in, and because of this, it can be really, really difficult to be able to avoid getting hit. Here I'm able to bounce up on the music note, take out a couple of the Shy Guys, and now head to the bottom portion of the level here. You want to slowly go down here, especially considering things are going to be spawning on the left and right side of the screen, and being really close to the side of either side of the screen, you really have to be extra cautious. Heading into 3-4, the final level of world number 3. Have a couple ninja right here and one right above. Grabbing the first of the items that we need. Then get up here. Thankfully there's 2 vegetables, so we can take out both of the enemies. Even if we're unable to use one to take them both out, we have plenty of ammo at our disposal. Be very careful here before attempting to go over here. You can grab the item above, but trying to watch out for the bullet from the Sniffet. This is one of the more difficult ones. Probably the most difficult spot we've been at so far. Enemies a lot of times will bounce into one another and then retreat, or something will happen to cause them to retreat, which is lucky for us overall. Also, hit detection when it comes to landing on top of like the Bezo enemies. You can be just barely slightly above them, and it'll count as you being up high enough in order to land on top of their head. It's tricky. Only if they're like directly on line of sight with you, or they're above you in any way, will they guarantee make contact with you. The 4th world is a desert-themed level, and similar to desert levels in Mario 2, there's a lot of digging in the sand that we're going to have to do in order to make our way through. Also, Pokies are here, so it will take you multiple vegetables in order to take out the Pokies. And usually the game does a good job of including multiple vegetables to pick up and thus use on the Pokies themselves. So, while it takes 3 of them, they always are giving you enough that you shouldn't have to worry too much or end up getting stuck with a Pokey slowly making its way towards you. If you manipulate it right, you can grab all the items within the sand by digging just enough to grab an item, and then dig a little bit more. Make sure that you're on the line of sight with every one of the pickups along here before heading back up, watching out for anything that may be flying by, and grab the last coin and hit the exit star. The desert levels are definitely the trickiest, obviously, as we're making it farther into the game. We start off with another Pokey. Thankfully, there's a ladder here, so we can use this to help us get above the Pokey or away from the Pokey in case we weren't able to pick up all the vegetables or use them quite yet. Drop on down here and head over to the left side first and dig your way through. Of course, enemies can fall through the sand that you've already dug away, so you want to make sure that you kind of spread out the digging a little bit so that you're able to manipulate around the enemies. But they're going to keep coming, so you have to be careful and work your way up the next ladder, and you're going to have to drop down here eventually, and the enemies may still be coming your way, so you want to time it so you don't accidentally get stuck with them here. There are a couple of vegetables to grab, but you want to make sure that you don't accidentally land right directly in front of them and end up getting hit. Though, they sometimes despawn. It's not all the time, though. I've had them sometimes where enemies despawn, and other times where enemies don't despawn, depending upon where I am on screen. So it's just something to keep in mind. Start off by taking out the first Pokey and grabbing the item to the right before heading up this ladder. There's a couple of ninja, which you can time a nice vegetable throw to take them both out, and then bounce along some musical box notes things here, and grab a couple more items before heading down the ladder here. This is a little bit tricky to kind of jump around here, especially with a Sniffet getting ready to fire out bullets, so be cautious when doing that particular spot. But the rest of it right here is pretty easy to deal with the enemies and grab the various items located in the underground part. Don't bounce too hard off of these or you'll end up landing into the spikes, and if you're unable to hit the pokey, just wait for it to come over to the left side and easily grab the last item and hit the star. 4-4, obviously the last and toughest level here in the fourth world of this Captain Toad Treasure Tracker hack. Grab the first item, and then you want to head down a little bit. Make sure that you grab the coins along the way, but don't go down too far to the last coin. Instead, make sure that you head over to the left into this small opening so that you're able to grab the magic potion located here, and then you can go back to the right and grab this. Now, what I recommend doing after getting the items on the left, you're going to want to take out a specific Sniffet, which can end up heating your progress. It actually happened to me twice, so I made sure that I knew when I played the game again that I take out this one particular Sniffet before attempting the other parts here. So what you want to do is immediately climb up this ladder, run to the right, and wait for this Sniffet to jump up. The game doesn't have like a ceiling limit for them, so they will keep jumping through the floor, and what ends up happening is the Sniffet will get so high up onto the walls, they'll land on the top portion, and can actually be stuck there, and you won't be able to get up any other way or come from another direction, so because of that, you may end up getting yourself stuck. So that's why take out that one Sniffet before doing the rest of that area right there. The Sniffet would be located right up here, right where this potion is, and right where we need to go in order to hit the exit stars. So that's why we had to take them out. With 2 worlds left to go, world number 5 is themed around ice. And there's some good ice mechanics that go along with this, as well as the Fury or Flurry enemies that will be making their way in a couple of these areas, as well as plenty more Bezos, so hopefully you haven't gotten your fill quite yet of those. Start off by heading over to the left side here and grab a couple of items before now heading back over to the right. Right there's a good example of how the enemies cannot be on the exact plane as you, and you may be able to still take them out. It's honestly luck. If one was coming my way directly there, I would have been toast for sure. It's a pretty straightforward level overall, which makes it relatively easy to collect everything, but at the same time makes it difficult because a Bezo coming directly at you can be absolutely killer. I also love the animation of Toad, kind of freaking out on the ice. It looks like he's a bit glitching, but I just, imagine him consistently slipping non-stop every step along the way on the icy platforms. After getting up here, take out the enemy and grab the coin. Now, you can go to the right side if you want to first, but we're going to want to head left just to make things a bit easier for us. Either way, this level can be difficult because of the consistently spawning Bezos that are going to be coming your way. Wait for this guy to head over to the right just enough so that we can grab his items on his platform, and now we're going to officially head over to the right. Sometimes you may have to wait a few moments for that right opportunity to open up. And right here, what you're going to need to do is grab onto the music box and jump up so that you can get on the moving vehicle and grab the last item that you need in the air. You may need to go back a little bit and grab that last coin as well, but either way, you have to use that vehicle in order to grab the item, which I thought was a pretty creative use of it overall, especially in a game hacked like this. Be sure to bounce across this, but you have to be careful because there is a Sniffet down below, as well as that you need to grab that coin. Make sure you take out the Sniffet, even though we're not getting that star quite yet, and then grab the other items. Enemies are flying your way. There's a Sniffet on the opposite end that can still fire at you at pretty good distance. And you may have noticed also with the Sniffet bullets, they don't get affected by walls. They go right through walls and can still end up hitting you. So they're deadly. They're extremely deadly in this particular ROM hack. Grab this coin on the right side and grab the last one on the left. Now finally back down over to the star. And we have completed 5-3 and move on to the final level of World 5. We have the giant whale at the beginning of this stage. We're going to head over to the right side and grab the items along the way. Thankfully, you have this stalk to use so that you can avoid some of the enemies that may come your way. So if you go to the right to grab the item, and there's a whole bunch of these guys coming your way, quickly run back, grab the stalk, and then continue down and grab the items that you needed. Not a whole lot of items you need to grab either, but the onslaught of the flying enemies is what makes the level extremely difficult. But once it's complete, we move on to the 6th world, and this is the final world for this Captain Toad romhack. Now, these levels are all themed around like the inside dungeon areas of Mario 2, like boss chambers would be, and just the overall like insides of some of the areas. And they have a lot of tricky spots for the items that we need to collect, as well as Phanto can make an appearance, but he doesn't work quite like a normal Phanto where like you grab a key or something and then he's chasing you. Instead, he works more like a Boo instead of a Phanto, which is kind of an interesting take on him overall. So get used to that and have to avoid him and get around him and where he is. The first level, this one that he's introduced, isn't as bad to avoid him overall. Honestly, the other Sparky enemy here, these guys are a pain. They're going to keep moving around. You got to time it so that you're able to land on their platform, grab the items, and get away. Make sure that you bounce up here in order to grab this item, and then wait for this guy to come back, or you can take him out with the projectile, whatever you like, before finally heading back down to the very bottom here, grab that last item in the corner, and hopefully hit the star before the Phanto ends up running into you. Now this level, this one took me a few tries when I was trying to practice it. Start off by going down. You have to grab these items along the way. You won't be able to come back a lot of times because of this Phanto that really gets in the way. Being unable to take him out and still having to land on these platforms, grab items, and then quickly backtrack. This is a pretty difficult stage. Also doesn't help that a bomb appears out of nowhere a few moments into the level, so be cautious of him as well. If you're able to get those items up top, though, the bottom section here isn't really that bad. You do have to land on the moving thing again, like we did earlier in the 5th world, and then finally grab the star. But if you drop off and grab that star at the end, you may be stuck there if you haven't grabbed everything else previously. So make sure you grabbed all the items before heading over to that. Now, this level has a bunch of conveyor belts, unfortunately, because the movement, as you can see, when going against the resistance is just really, really slow. Take the upper path here, grab the items, watch out for the Sniffet. Thankfully, you don't even have to go down and bother with him. Watch out, make sure you don't get into the line of fire from the bomb, but the Sniffet can still fire bullets, so that's always a bit of a problem. Grab this item up here, and then you can use the music note in order to grab the cherry, and then you have to do the same here. But then you're going to be on a conveyor belt that, unfortunately, you're going to have to move very, very slowly on in order to grab the item as well as get to the opposite side here. I did try to hold down some buttons and all the run and all, but it didn't seem like anything else worked. Maybe I'm missing something to make Toad go a little bit faster, but either way, it's still very much doable as we move into the final level of the game. Start off by grabbing the items on the chain, drop off the right side here to grab this cherry, bounce up, grab the item, and once again, grab the one below it, and then you'll have to hit the music note and bounce up before this platform closes back in and retracts. Have another conveyor belt that you'll have to slowly run Toad along so you can grab the potion and then over to the chain where the cherry is. Over here, you have to take out Birdo. There's actually 2 Birdos in this level. The way to deal with Birdo is bounce up, grab an egg, and then launch the egg at him. Typical Birdo style, and it only takes 1 to defeat Birdo in this particular ROM hack, but it's still a little bit difficult to do so. Here, once again, have to climb up, grab this cherry at the very top, very easily missable if you're not paying close attention. But then over here we have a Phanto and a Birdo that we have to deal with, as well as moving along this. What I'd recommend is actually going to the far left side, make the Phanto chase you over to the left area, get him as far away as possible, and then run over here. But I have found if you run on the conveyor belt with the Phanto above you, a lot of times he won't come directly down at you, and if you're really quick and lucky, you can get through it. But I do recommend taking the Phanto over to the left before attempting to hit the star. But there's the end right there. You kind of complete the game and you get one last little screen of just the end there. No like actual ending or anything, but still a really fun and enjoyable ROM hack. This is one of my favorites I have played in recent months. I wish it was a bit longer. I wish there was even more to it. So hopefully maybe there'll be a sequel to this, or maybe an updated one with even more levels in it, but I really overall enjoyed it, and especially considering I loved Captain Toad on Wii U. But anyway, guys, that will wrap up this episode of Play It Through. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a thumbs up or commenting down below. If you enjoyed this playthrough, check out the bonus one I did for a ROM hack called Waluigi's Adventure last week. Extremely difficult ROM hack, one that I wasn't the biggest fan of overall, but somehow I was able to get through it. And also be sure to check out the playthrough I just recently did for Alien vs. Predator: The Last of His Clan on Game Boy. A pretty fun maze action game with some Metroid elements thrown in. I also need to thank all the members of my Patreon. Without your guys' continued support, I couldn't do videos like this, reviews, top 10 lists, all of it. It's because of you guys I'm able to keep doing what I'm doing. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.